Michelle, the Children's Librarian at the Sheridan County Public Library System, and welcome to another episode of Bookmarks, where I want to kind of tease you with a book that you might like to read. This is Kate DiCamillo's book, Flora and Ulysses. Now this is an interesting book because it stars a squirrel, and I'll just read a little bit and kind of see what you like. Flora and Ulysses, The Illuminated Adventures by Kate DiCamillo, illustrated by Kate DiCamillo. Here we go. Chapter 1, A Natural-Born Cynic. Flora Belle Buckman was in her room at her desk. She was very busy. She was doing two things at once. She was ignoring her mother, and she was also reading a comic book entitled The Illuminated Adventures of the Amazing Incandestro. Flora, her mother shouted, "What are you doing up there?" "I'm reading," Flora shouted back. "Remember the contract," her mother shouted. "Do not forget the contract." At the beginning of summer, in a moment of weakness, Flora had made the mistake of signing a contract that said she would, quote, work to turn her face away from the idiotic hijinks of comics and towards the bright light of true literature, end quotes. Those were the exact words of the contract. They were her mother's words. Flora's mother was a writer. She was divorced and she wrote romance novels. Talk about idiotic hijinks. Flora hated romance novels. In fact, she hated romance. "I hate romance," said Flora out loud to herself. She liked the way the words sounded. She imagined them floating above her head in like a comic strip bubble. It was comforting to think that words hanging over her head, especially negative words about romance. There's a picture of her. "I hate romance." Flora's mother had often accused Flora of being, quote, a natural-born cynic, end quote. Flora suspected it was true. She was a naturally born cynic who lived in defiance of contracts. "Yep," thought Flora, "that's me." She bent her head and went back to reading The Amazing Incandestro. She was interrupted a few minutes by a loud noise. It sounded as if a jet plane had landed in the Tickham's backyard. "What the heck?" said Flora. She got up from her desk and looked out the window and saw Mrs. Stickman running around the backyard with a shiny, oversized vacuum cleaner. It looked like she was vacuuming the yard. That can't be, thought Flora. Who vacuums their yard? Actually, didn't look like Mrs. Tickman knew what she was doing. It was more like the vacuum cleaner was in charge, and the vacuum cleaner seemed to be out of its mind or its engine or something. "A few bolts shy of a load," Flora said out loud. Then she heard Mrs. Tickman, the vacuum cleaner, headed directly for a squirrel. "Hey now," said Flora. She banged on the window. "Watch out," she shouted. "You're going to vacuum up the squirrel." She said the words, and then she heard a strange moment, seeing them hanging over her head. "You're going to vacuum up the squirrel." Then it's just not protecting what kind of sentence you might say, thought Flora. For instance, who would ever think you'd shout, "You're going to vacuum up that squirrel"? Didn't make any difference, though. What word she said, Flora was too far away. The vacuum cleaner was too loud and also clearly bent on destruction. "This malfeasance must stop," said Flora in a deep and superhuman voice. The malfeasance must stop was what the unassuming janitor, Alfred T. Slipper, always said before it was transformed into the amazing Incandestro and became a towering crime-fighting pillar of light. Unfortunately, Alfred P. Slipper wasn't present. There was Incandestro when you need him. Not that Flora really believed in superheroes, but still, she stood at the window and watched as the squirrel was vacuumed up. "Poof, whomp! Holy baggummum," said Flora. Now, if you want to find out what happens, you'll have to read the book, Flora and Ulysses, The Illuminated Adventures by Kate DiCamillo. But I'll tell you what, I'm just going to read one more chapter to myself, I'm kind of concerned about the squirrel. I'll see you next time and you brighten my day. See you later. Oh.